Man, I could really go for like, I don't know, a whole pitcher of water right now, you know?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. Just just a human
Just dunk it
being,
on your face?
just a whole human body's worth of water. That's what I could go for right now. Yeah.
Well, I've got something that might, I've got a plug-in for you that might help with that.
Oh yeah? Let me see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, all
yeah.
right, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, give it here.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Do you
yeah.
have a friend nearby? All right, let me just... Oh God!
Ah, refreshing. Welcome to Rough Cuts.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
It's the year 2033. There's no law. No mercy.
You're gonna really love this one. Bang!
And no water.
There are 3 million liters of water underneath the blue dunes, and you will retrieve it.
The odds of survival are 1,000 to 1. And that's just the way she likes it.
My.
Hi, everybody. This is Rough Cuts, our podcast about good boys in bad movies. That's right, we do bad dog movies. And yes, there's a dog movie in this. I'm your host, Ilian, and this is my co-host, Boix.
Hello.
We watched the 1995 live-action Harley Quinn movie that everybody loves. The modern reboot about like how it's like kind of more edgy and adult now.
Yeah, this is the one that like swears, uses physical violence in comedic ways. Not
Lots of sex.
Not afraid to be sex positive.
Or sex negative.
Or negative. Mostly
in a way.
kind of both.
Yeah, a little of both.
Yeah.
A little of both. Little each. And of course, it's all about a post-apocalypse where a comet hit the Earth. And now there's people that run around plugging water coolers into people to suck all their water out. And our titular hero, Harley Quinn, gets a tank that she uses to fight off the bad guys at Water and Power with her good boys, iced tea. Which is not water, so you can't drink iced tea.
Yeah, you can't drink iced tea. No, that would be bad.
No, not in the future.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is Tank Girl.
Tank Girl. Tank Girl. What a film. This is a film I saw a lot in pieces on network television. And it was the edited version, because it's a rated R movie.
Yes.
So watching this in full is actually, it's been an experience for me. As something that I wasn't completely expecting. And some of it is very surprising.
I would say most of this movie is very surprising. At least to me.
Yeah.
I did not know what I was getting into when I got into this.
So we watched the VHS version, since I have a tape.
Which you
right
have. Yeah.
And this is
You
the
have it
4x3. This has probably been re-released on Blu-ray and maybe a 4K release. I'm not even sure.
Wait, it's not the 16:9 VHS?
No, it's not the long VHS. This is the short VHS.
Okay.
Yeah. This one has performance issues, so. The... What? I'm making a Tank Girl joke. You shut up.
So did Booga. Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, let me read the back here. So, first of all, the front, Tank Girl. In 2033, Justice rides a tank and wears lip gloss. That's the tagline. Pretty bad tagline.
God.
But the back of the box, the year is 2033, and since a humongous meteor hit Earth, the world just hasn't been the same. No celebrities, no cable TV, no water. A mega villain, Kesley, played by Malcolm McDowell, the leader of Water and Power, WAP, holds the world in his grasp since he controls all the H2O.
WAP holds everyone in their
down
grasp,
to the last drop. Yeah, you need to get a bucket and a mop for this water to the last drop. Or so he thinks. 2 colossal enemies stand in his way. Number 1, the Rippers. An army of half men, half kangaroo, half dog people. Half jazz, half rapper.
Half rapper. Half nitrous oxide, which,
That too.
yeah, I guess.
Whose sole purpose is to bring down the WAP. And number 2, a chick with a tank and tons of attitude, aka Tank Girl, Lori Petty. With a chip on her shoulder and a grenade in her pocket, Tank Girl sets out to face off with the demented bad guy. This is a very, very bad tagline. So Kesley had better get a grip on reality and his water jugs. Because when Tank Girl teams up with the Rippers, including rapper Ice-T, and sidekick Jet Girl, Naomi Watts, not even a run in her stocking is going to stop her from saving the planet. If you're into in-your-face visuals, outrageous action sequences, and non-stop explosive laughs, you'll love this rip-roaring power surge of a movie. Featuring a hot soundtrack of Belly, Bjork, Bush, Devo, Ice-T, Joan Jett, and Paul Westerberg, L7 Stomp, and Verica Salt. Because the alternative soundtrack is a huge selling point in this movie.
I mean, okay, the soundtrack fucking slaps.
It's a good soundtrack, yeah. It's just good stuff. It is. It's unique. It's certainly unique, I would say.
Yeah.
What was it? The director is Rachel Talalay, who is also the director of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6, Freddy's Dead. Yeah. And the comic book, by the way, for Tank Girl is written by, it was done anyways by one of the artists that would later go on to found, or co-found anyways, the band Gorillaz, as a little tidbit.
Huh.
So it's this whole weird, like, pop culture mash of the director just saying, I want to make a fucking comic book movie because I read your comic that was given to me on Christmas. And it's either take it or leave it. You let me make whatever the fuck I want, or I'm not getting a film out of this.
Which is too bad, because they didn't let her make whatever she wanted.
They cut some, yeah.
Oh, they cut a lot,
yeah.
Apparently. Like, she complains a ton about it, that, like, the studio meddled in the film a lot and cut out just tons and tons and tons and tons of scenes and wouldn't allow them to be put in. And
a lot of the sex-positive scenes were cut, for sure. Like, anything showing a dildo or a condom or things like that.
Okay, so you know about The Secret, then? Mm-hmm. You already read up on Booga, Booga Boys.
The Booga sex scene.
God damn it.
I knew about the Booga sex scene.
Okay, so there's a sex scene with there's a sex scene with a dog kangaroo turned into a man to be a soldier.
A mangaroo.
Well, no, it's a dog-aroo, really, because he doesn't have any man in him. He said that he was a dog that was smart enough that they upgraded him to a man. That was, right?
That's true. I think that was the words, thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in the sex scene in the movie, it's post-coitus. Like, they don't actually show anything there. And it's post-coitus, and he's just fully clothed. They're looking at the ceiling, and he's, like, telling her a story about, like, we believe in the prophet, and there's all this rain gonna come. Whatever. He was supposed to have a prosthetic dick.
Wait, what? Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know about that? Oh, okay, yeah, no. They made a naked Ripper suit incorporating a prosthetic penis that was created for him. That was filmed in that scene instead, but they were like, no. And so then they made him fully clothed and carefully edited it. Yeah. No, he was supposed to have a gigantic penis in that scene.
That rules.
And be fully naked, which would have been way better. It would have fit a lot of the manic weirdness of this fucking movie. And same with, she was supposed to be... There's a lot of torture scenes in the early beginning of Lori Petty, like a Tank Girl. And they cut and edited a lot of that, apparently, because they felt that the torture didn't make her hot.
because a bunch of
That's what the editor
greasy
said.
dudes that were producing
Hey,
this.
but I don't want to fuck her right now.
Yeah, they were like, "What?
Cut that.
But if she's tortured,
Oh,
she's not
God.
hot, and I don't want to bang that." And like,
Nah, I want to bang her.
Ugh.
You gotta make her look like I want to bang her.
it's wild because I think this movie is very. It's very like strong female lead, very anti-sexual harassment against women in some ways. I would say there's some messages about that, especially with like the jet girl scenes for sure.
Sure, but it's also
But it's
I don't know,
muddy.
that's
It's
also
muddy.
kind of used as a yeah. It's also one of those things where everybody does like all the villains do sexual harassment, and that's like just kind of the cheat code that exploitation directors put
that's
in
true.
to be like, oh well, this is the villain, see, because he's a like, and these are the heroes because they're against sexual harassment. It's like, well, no shit,
No
Like,
shit.
You don't have to, because they kind of show it, and I guess they don't make it as sexy as a lot of those
No.
shows normally do. If that makes sense, like
It's not.
A lot of
It's not as
exploitation-
exploitative
yeah.
as like Phantasmagoria, which I'm playing recently.
Oh, yeah, no,
which is extremely exploitative about its sexual harassment.
yes, yeah. This one doesn't tend to make the sexual harassment sexy. It tends to make it gross.
Yeah.
Which is at least like in its favor, but it's a little muddy. I wouldn't say that it's 100% great on that. And also, that's hard to say then how much of that is studio meddling based
Right.
on what the director
It's hard
has
to
been
say,
saying over the
yeah.
years. Because the director says like, "Oh man, they fucked this movie up so bad."
I mean, this was a bomb.
She had a scene of
It was a bomb in the box office for sure, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I couldn't see mid '90s pop culture at all enjoying this film.
I can't see as much as I think that we will both say that we enjoyed this film on a level.
hmm
Like I wouldn't say that it is a deeply flawed movie, but also it's got things to enjoy about it.
Absolutely flawed, but it's admirable.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is I feel like, I mean, if it came out now, I would be like, yeah, no, it'd bomb. Of course it'd bomb. Like, this is never going to be a commercial success kind of movie, at least in my mind. I don't see a version of this that works for a wide audience.
No, and I don't think it was trying to be for a wide audience, which is weird that it was given $25 million to make the film,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
It was very clearly a specific vision for a specific audience.
Yeah.
And that audience was the director.
Yes. Because
Because I'm just going to make this fucking thing, and you're going to like it or not, and that's not my problem, right? And there's something
Pretty
about
much.
that from a creative perspective where I'm like, fuck yes.
Yeah. Like, that's my thing, too. There's a lot of scenes that I was kind of like, oh my god. But also at the same time, I'm like, but she did it. Like, god damn it, this director just went for it. Like, fuck, fine, whatever. Like, that's kind of... I don't think it works, but... Man, you sure fucking tried. Like, this movie really goes. It fucking goes. I guess we should get into what the movie is.
Yeah, I suppose.
It starts out with a voiceover explaining the premise, which is that a comet hits the Earth in 2033. Now there's no water, it doesn't rain. I don't know how that fucking tracks, but okay.
Yep.
Anyways, so most of society is gone, and she's out living on some farm with a bunch of weird punk friends that are siphoning water off of WAP
Yeah.
with a bucket and a mop, and
WAP
they're-
being the
water
utilities
and
company.
power. Yes, those that have water have all the power, was what she said. Which is, I actually kind of like that line in a way, like that it's just, like the utility company became the big evil in the future. I think that at least is a clever premise. There's a few things that I've been getting into that actually do similar things, but I like them. It's a neat idea that, like, oh yeah. Who's the villain in the dark future? the utilities. And it's like, God
Yeah.
damn it, it super works. It super works. And that's Malcolm McDowell, so they're stealing his water. He kind of finds out, does a big raid on their compound, and kills everybody except for Tank Girl, who they capture because she managed to kill 8 of his men, and he's a real whack villain. He's one of those guys that's like, wait, how many of my guys did she kill? Wow, she's got to be really fun. Let's keep her around because I don't know.
Let's keep her around because I want to break her.
I guess he wants her to be on his side. There's not necessarily a great justification for that. He's just kind of a weird creep.
No, yeah, it's weird.
Which works really well for Malcolm McDowell. You mentioned at one point, you said, like, wow, this is got some real M. Bison energy. And I'm like, yeah, like, it's... And it works, too, because it's this super fucking weird, cheesy, kind of low-budget, low-rent movie with a storied actor behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very Raul Julia, Malcolm McDowell, like they're both just chewing the scenery incredibly well here. I think that, honestly, the highlights of the film as far as, like, characters and acting go are definitely Lori Petty as Tank Girl she does a good job of what they're going for.
Which is like quirky, eclectic, hyperactive goofball.
Manic Pixie Girl.
Yeah.
Manic Pixie Girl.
Basically a
She's
Manic
Harley
Pixie
Quinn.
Girl. I mean, it's before Manic Pixie Girl, I think, kind of came about, but it's that type of character.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But it's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Malcolm McDowell just goes off on fucking rants about 8-8, the burning 8, the 8th day of the week. And, like, what are you talking about?
The 8 that hates.
The 8 that hates. What the fuck are you talking about?
8, the burning 8. Between Sunday and Monday hangs a day so dark it will devastate.
When they tell her that she killed 8 men, he just does this, like, slam poetry session for half a second. Slam poetry
That's
like,
a running theme.
Features... Yeah, it features heavily in this film, but he does that in front of her, and she goes, okay, you can torture me, but if he wants to do more poetry, just fucking shoot me.
Just shoot me and get it over with. I don't want to hear this shit.
Which I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, Malcolm McDowell was really big on the forum about how many days a week you're supposed to exercise. He's a firm believer in the 8-day week.
Yeah, it's an 8-day week. You exercise every other day.
Every second day.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. There will never be an argument on the internet about it.
Anyway, he captures her and starts torturing her in all kinds of weird ways. We don't really need to get into it.
But he eventually takes her to the pipe.
Torture scenes. Oh, are we going to get into the pipe? Okay.
The pipe is an important plot point later on. So kind of they bring it back. It could have
been literally any. Well, but they could have had it. It could have been literally anything for the other.
No,
later
but it's
stuff.
funny that it's literally just a pipe. That's all it is. It's nothing.
Well, no, I disagree. I actually think that this is a fine enough torture thing. Because it's not just a pipe. The pipe is, he describes it as it was very, very funny though that you called what it was. He comes over and he's like, fine, I'll do my last thing. I hope you like tight spaces kind of thing. And then he walks over to this pipe and opens it up and you go, aha, the tube. And literally at that moment, Malcolm McDowell goes, the pipe. And it's like, God damn it. It's close enough.
Yeah, it's because I'm smart and I know how to write good scripts. The tube.
The pipe. You're gonna really love this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the type. The tube, the pipe.
The type, the poo.
The poo. The poo.
Yeah. You tried to recover it. It's a 40-meter long pipe, like a water pipe kind of thing, like where you would transport underground liquids in. But the idea is, as he says, is that, like, it slowly gets smaller as you go in, which I actually think is kind of clever, because being in an enclosed space like that and having it be like, you wouldn't be able to breathe really well, and you're totally stuck and you can't see anything, like, it's dark,
Yeah,
and
but
he shoves her down there.
kind of, except the pipe has see-through sections, so you can clearly see.
Yeah.
'Cause
I feel like
that's the part that doesn't
where-
make sense to me.
Sure. I'll give you that. I think that that's just so that they could actually film inside of it, in a way.
Yeah, and
So they could show the characters.
Sure. The point is they push her down the pipe. She has flashbacks to when they attacked the compound she was at. And then he pulls her back out of the pipe. He's like, "Oh, you'll work for me now, huh?" And then she's like, "I can't work for anybody who has ligma." And he's like, "What's ligma?" And she's like, "Ligma balls. I win, fucker."
I won, and you know it. Come on. Say it. Just say it.
He's doing his best,
I
like,
won.
Michael Ironside
won.
impression.
No! Say I won!
Yeah, there's this whole thing between them where it's like, no, you have to say that I won. They're really big on one or the other winning.
I don't know what
Which-
that's about. I don't get it, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, he's just a weird battle of wills thing, right? He thinks that he
Yeah.
can break her, and she's like, no. So he just has to.
Yeah.
I think that it's in a way. The more that I think about that, I kind of like that about his character. His character has all the power, right? Like, he's just
Right.
everybody.
I mean-
everybody underneath him is he asks a guy to walk across broken glass, and the guy
He does, yeah.
And he immediately says to the guy, "Wow, you're an idiot. If somebody told me to walk across broken glass, I'd have killed them. I'd have said no. I wouldn't have done it. You're a dummy. All right, time to kill you, I guess, because you're a fucking moron."
Like,
Anyways, come here. And the guy still
and he
walks
still
towards
does it.
him.
And then he walks towards him after he brandishes a pizza cutter. Yes.
Yes.
But I get the feeling that Malcolm McDowell's character just wants people near him that aren't subservient and that have a
Well, that's what I'm saying.
that have a will and care and want to fight.
Well, and then he wants to break that from them because
To
everyone
get the
around
power.
him is this.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone around him is this lick spittle that he can push around no matter what, right? Like, he just kills with impunity.
Yeah.
Everybody just lets him get away with it. Like, he's not particularly strong or fat. Like, he doesn't have any powers or anything like that. He just has all of this aura of authority that people have given to him in a way. Like, until
Yeah.
later on when he has
Yeah.
the surgery. Before that, he doesn't really have anything. And it's just all of this, like, mental thing with him. So the idea of him, like, well, I have to break her, like, everyone has to be subservient to me. That's my thing. And
That is his thing,
I don't know,
yeah.
it just kind of works. So
He kind of
it
is
fits
like
into his steez.
he's kind of like King Koopa in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
yes, yeah, there's a lot of that in this. Yeah.
This movie feels like a much worse Super Mario Brothers movie, actually, in some ways. Which is weird for me to say. I feel like Super Mario was more enjoyable with some similar theming.
I don't know. They're wildly different. I have a hard time saying if it would be or not, thinking back. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's Malcolm McDowell's steez, and she eventually gets roped into. She has to go into a ripper hole.
Yes.
Oh.
The Ripper Hole. Which hole? We're gonna find out which hole.
One of them's booby trapped. We'll shove you down every hole and find out, I guess.
But before she can get pushed down the Ripper Hole, which rips, the hole that rips,
Yeah.
the Rippers attack, I guess.
Yeah.
And they take out all the WAP in the area.
Uh-huh. And she manages to hide, I guess, and sneaks out. when she does, there was another woman. Oh God, I don't actually even remember
Jet
her
Girl?
name.
Her name's Jet Girl.
Jet, yeah, she's just Jet. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jet Girl. Okay. Yeah, so there's Tank Girl, there's Jet Girl.
Yeah.
Gotcha, of course. Yeah.
It's not that smart. No, it's just...
No. One thing that you cannot accuse this movie of is being smart or subtle. It is neither of those things at any moment.
And that's Naomi Watts playing Jet Girl.
Naomi Watts. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is wild because I saw her first probably in Mulholland Drive, which is a very different movie. But she earlier on was doing mechanic work inside of the base. She's kind of a prisoner like Tank Girl because he puts her to work in like these mines kind of thing. I don't know. He's got factories.
It's like an episode of Kaiji where they have to, roll dice to get out of the working camp underground, and they keep losing. You've never watched Kaiji,
What the fuck are you talking?
trust
What the
me,
fuck are you talking about?
Trust me, it's Kaiji. Stop giving me a swirly right now. You stop
God,
it.
you nerd. Stop with your anime. All right, but she's a mechanic. She ends up, like, Tank Girl kind of saves her at one point from some weird sexual harasser guy, like prison guard, by pretending to be her girlfriend and giving her a good smooch.
And then they just become girlfriends. It's great.
And then they just become girlfriends. Yeah, it's kind of good.
It's really cute.
And Jet Girl manages to hijack a jet while all of this is going down, and she watches as the Rippers kill everybody, and she's like, oh my god, Tank Girl's dead. So she lands, looks around, finds Tank Girl, and they now escape. Tank Girl grabs a tank that was left, and Jet Girl goes off in her jet, and they start scouring the desert for some place safe to hide.
Yeah, I want to point out that when Tank Girl takes the tank, it's to funky sex music.
Well, yeah, because she straddles because she straddles the cannon.
She sure
and
does.
then goes, look at how big my dick is, and it cuts to a comic book panel of her going like, look at the sheer size of it.
Yep.
And it's
She sure
this
does.
movie is not smart or subtle. Again, not smart, not subtle.
It's good. And also, our main villain's arm got ripped off by the Rippers, who rip.
Yes. Yeah. He had a locator put... Okay, this is actually a good plot point that we need to mention. When he's about to send her down the Ripper hole, which are... We don't know what the Rippers are yet. They're just supposed to be things that kill people. And they look like xenomorphs.
They do,
So it's like weird. We think that they're like these mindless monsters because they're also like running under the ground. This is weird. But they give her a locator and he's like, see, now you'll be close to my heart. I have your pulse on my wristwatch. And I'm like, that pulse seems a little fast, actually. Wanna maybe check, give her some medical attention?
It's all the coke that she does, so.
God, they do. There's a lot of drug references in this, too. But he has his arm ripped off. She's got a locator put into her, which is going to be important later.
And she completely forgot about it.
It seems in character for her, honestly. She's slightly airheaded. One thing that we haven't mentioned is kind of the manic style and editing of this movie. A lot of these scenes are animated.
Yeah, so in general, the editing and the way it's shot and all that stuff is really wild. It'll be like fisheye lens into normal lens, into quick cuts, into... Like, it's just all over the place. It's almost too much at times. And then it'll jump to, like, a 2-minute animated sequence right into another fisheye lens.
And when we say animated sequence, it's just stills of the comic.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it is animated. You're right. Yeah, no, sometimes it is animated.
Yeah, sometimes it'll cut to a comic scene with an actual, like, panel from the comic.
Yeah.
And then other times it'll be a fully animated, like, trip with a bunch of colors changing constantly and a lot of fluid motion.
Yeah.
It's so much.
There's an interesting thing about that part of this movie that I also read up. Rachel Talele said one of the things, I think it was actually the writer, Jamie Hewlett.
Oh, okay.
Who who had said that because he's the writer of the actual
Comic
book
yeah.
Tank Girl, right? Like the yeah, and he's as you said, the co-creator of Gorillaz.
Mm-hmm.
So Jamie Hewlett had said that it was a nightmare to work on this, which yeah, I can understand.
Bet, yeah.
And one of the things is that they had forgotten entire scenes to be filmed. Like, massive scenes were just not in the movie. And I wonder how much of that was, like, studio meddling again, considering what Talele keeps saying about this. And that what they did to cover that is they did animated sequences in between. So apparently that was actually a crutch.
Interesting.
Yes.
I think it's an interesting
supposedly.
decision, though. Like, it feels intentional to the style of the film.
That's why
yeah.
It's an interesting question here of, we talk a lot about, studio meddling is bad. But I would say that comes with like an asterisk at the end of it. It's not always. People need an editor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good idea to have a good editor. It's just that there's a lot of like bad studio editing in Hollywood because they're trying to make a wide audience kind of thing. And this is one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know if the editing made it better or worse then, because the weird animation sequences and choppiness of that actually fits into this weird style that they have.
I think it's just different. Like, for instance, if I was to take Kojima as an example, if you're looking at Metal Gear Solid 2, you're like, holy shit, this is wild. But that's Kojima edited. And then you look at Death Strand, you're like, oh my god, this is wild. Where is the editor?
Yes.
So it depends.
Who is this? Yeah.
It depends. Like, in one situation, you get an hour-long cutscene. You're like, wow, that's weird. And in the other one, you get a 10-hour cutscene. And it's like, okay.
And you go, God, that's awful.
Maybe that 1 hour was better, actually. Yeah. Never mind.
And so it's hard to know with this one, but it's an interesting kind of scenario I'd love to have been involved in, like, seeing how this movie was made. Do you know what I mean? Like a behind the scenes of actually what was cut and what decisions made it.
I think that would be
really
interesting.
Intriguing.
I also think a movie like this made today with modern like sensibilities around their topics, I think you wouldn't get something quite like Everything Everywhere All at Once, of course.
No.
But I think you could get a similar feeling and a similar reception with a good script.
You could do something really interesting with this. I think you could. I don't know that it would be like, it definitely wouldn't be that.
No.
But you could definitely get something really interesting out of it. And a lot of people have agreed because she tried to make a reboot, Talele, in 2008, which didn't really go forward. And then apparently in 2019, Margot Robbie, or Robbie, or whatever her name is, like the new Harley Quinn in live action.
Oh, okay.
Actually got the rights to it and is supposedly working on a reboot of this.
Well, that makes sense because her character is basically Tank Girl, so
yes,
that makes perfect sense.
It was reported in September 2019 that a reboot of the film was in early development with her production company, Lucky Chap Entertainment, who had optioned the rights from MGM.
All right.
So maybe we will get a modern take on Tank Girl.
I think I might actually like to see that, to be honest. In some way.
I would absolutely be interested.
Yeah.
Because this movie is just so manic and weird. It has tons of continuity problems and things like... yeah.
Anyways, Jet Girl and Tank Girl go off with their jet and tank. Because they're Jet Girl and Tank Girl, and now they have a jet and tank.
Sure.
And also the tank has a brain and it's smart, and it's its own character now.
Yeah, they do a job on... This is one of the continuity problems, because... And this is where I wonder if they had to cover from this one where they were like, oh shit, we didn't film that. Because there's... They go and find this woman who has carvings from one of the girls that was in, like, the farmhouse at the beginning of the movie where Tank Girl was captured. And Tank Girl's like, oh, I gotta rescue this young girl who's my friend.
Wanker
like, where
Girl.
is she? And
Wanker
et cetera,
Girl,
et cetera.
She's called Wanker Girl
Yeah.
because she wears a shirt that says
Yeah.
Wanker.
Yep. Yeah. I know. It still just hit me. it just, I'm letting it wash over me again. I'm having the flashbacks like I'm in the pipe.
Uh-huh.
I'm in a mind pipe is
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying. I feel like I'm getting into a smaller and smaller space.
Did you forget about Wanker Girl? That might be because the costumes change every scene.
Yeah. So they talk to this woman, and this woman is mad at them because she's like, thinks they're working for Water and Power because they're using their stuff. And then they go, oh, no, we're escaped prisoners. And she goes, oh, well, use my garage. And then it's this montage of them just fucking up these tanks and jets in the most, 90s ass way possible. They're, gluing
Hell
pogs
yeah.
and stuff to the sides of these fucking things. And in that scene, there is a, half second of a comic panel of her holding a cybernetic brain thing, and it looks like she's ripping it out of the tank, but I guess that she's putting it into the tank?
Sure.
Where did she get it? Whose brain is it?
See, when that comes out in the reboot, it's going to be a smart tank, and it'll be the size of, a credit card. You don't have to have a whole brain, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be as flashy, so...
Just slap that on a solid state drive. There you go. You just gotta have a big Samsung logo across the side of it so you can get that advertising money. There you go. Now I'm a studio executive.
I didn't notice any advertising in this movie. At all.
How could you?
Actually.
How could you advertise in this movie?
Yeah.
But how could you
the
advertise
advertisers
this?
had
no
to
way.
have shied the fuck away from this. Right?
It's full of, she's constantly making jokes. It's really hard to talk about this movie and get the energy of it because it's like the Harley Quinn animated show where she's like, oh, I'm touching myself. She's just constantly, taking photos of her underwear and, sending them to people.
I can't believe Tank Girl's just Velma. Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
Jinkies. Fuck. Alright, I gotta take a quick break, so... One moment. I'll leave you with the Velma line. You're welcome.
I'm editing this week, so I'm keeping that in.
So anyway, James Hong shows up as a cybernetic surgery man to replace our villain's arm with a robotic arm and chop off his head.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, his face is all mauled, so he's wearing this big prosthetic mask thing, and the doctor's telling him how he'll never see again. And then James Hong comes in with a universal translator thing on his throat, so he speaks Mandarin, I'm guessing, and then it comes out in English a second later, and he gets a big... You know those plastic grabbers you have as a kid, the red grabbers?
With a T-Rex,
got a big one of those.
T-Rex mouth, yeah.
Yeah. He has one of those, but he uses it to just chop his head off. I go, wait, did he cut his head off? And he, as spoiler alert, he sure did. That's the thing he does.
And that doesn't end the way you think it ends. That's the thing.
No. Yeah, they do a thing. They kind of play with your expectations a lot here, and I was really disappointed at first, and then I kind of grew to like it, because for the rest of the movie, for a very long time, till the very, very end, they're constantly showing Kesley again, but he's covered by a carefully placed television, or he's behind a wall with just his arm out or whatever. There's always something that's covering where his face would be so that you don't get to see all of what was done to him. And one of the jokes, even, I actually really liked this, was he's sitting there and he's watching her through a video screen, and he's doing some kind of villainous monologue, and he's like, yes, I can't wait to get her in my grasp again. And he's swirling some water in a glass, and then he lifts it up, and it's, because television's in front of him, so it's in front of his head, and you just hear, zzz, and he's like, dam. Because he can't drink water anymore.
Can't drink any water. That was his whole thing.
Because he's a weird cybernetic man. Yeah, it is. It was a good moment. It's a real stupid joke.
So our heroes, Tank Girl and Jet Girl, I guess, decide to go save the little girl who was abducted, Wanker Girl, who's not Tank Girl or Jet Girl. And they go to the future brothel of Liquid Silver, which is patroned by Germans, I think. But like,
yeah, there's a lot of guys in lederhosen.
Lederhosen Germans.
Not joking.
For some reason. I guess. And as Tank Girl goes to try and save her from being brotheled out, she ends up saving herself by using a danger ball that Tank Girl gave her at the beginning of the movie to pierce through the hand of a pervert.
Yeah, Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop. The pervert. The absolute
the pervert.
Filthy pervert. Iggy Pop.
Who is credited as Ratface.
He's never named in the movie, so...
No, he's named in the credit as Ratface.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm sure it was a character in the comic.
They must have
way,
cut
like,
it or something,
yeah. But, yeah, she's like, when we say that she's a little girl, we mean she's like 10. So it's real. Maybe 12.
It's gross.
Like, it's really awful. Yeah, it's really awful. It's meant to show how terrible these people are. I liked how much, like you said, that she rescues herself. Like, there's some clever moments like that where you kind of have your expectations changed a little bit.
I don't think any character in this movie is really a damsel in distress. Really, but I guess that character ends up being one again
she then
at the
becomes
end.
One, yes.
So it's like, that's where it gets muddled again, where I'm like, you did it, but then you didn't do it. Like, anyways, after meeting up with her, they try to leave, first of all.
I was going to say, hold up. Couple things here. First of all, Tank Girl goes in through the back way, so she goes in through where all of the strippers and workers and stuff get dressed, and there's like a robot voice saying like, you need to trim all excess body hair. You must do this. You must do, and if you do not have a piercing, here is a piercer, and it's like shoving things out of, like those boxing gloves on a metal extender. It's like that.
It's kind of like Fifth Element jokes, I would say.
Yeah, but it's great because she rips all the stuff down and just kind of like, fuck it, and just starts doing dress up with herself, but like in a totally anti way to what it's saying. So that's kind of fun. And then like you said, then they start trying to leave.
And
although I don't think that they're trying to leave necessarily.
I don't know what they're doing, but Madam is there, who is the owner of the brothel.
Yes.
And
the Madame, yep.
And she tries to stop Tank Girl, but then Jet Girl shows up with a gun and holds Madam hostage. So then Tank Girl tells her to sing as some form of, I guess, depraved, I don't know, show of...
horrible torture.
Show of power. Which then turns into an completely inappropriate musical number.
Remember, this is like, 20 seconds after we had a scene of a 12-year-old using a device to pierce a man's hand because he was going to do horrible things to her as a, sex slave in this brothel.
Yeah.
20 seconds later, they're breaking into a Cole Porter musical.
It's a full-on fucking musical, like History of the World Part 1 musical.
Yeah.
The Inquisition!
There's dancing, there's singing.
The Inquisition! What do you say?
Yeah, and it's like we said,
weird.
it's a whole musical number, and it's Cole Porter, so it's Cole Porter's "Let's Do It." So you're talking about a 1928 song that's sung, but with in this post-apocalypse punk setting with a whole bunch of tits out, like...
Yeah. Well, she just started humping the guys from behind during the musical. So.
Yeah, Tank Girl, like, beating up guys and then humping them from behind
She
while
does,
they're singing this.
She sure does.
And, like, scenes of the comic where they have the Madame with her head shaved because she refused to sing, and...
it's weird. But, like, the villain...
What the fuck is this movie?
The villain hears the musical downstairs. He's like, what the fuck is that musical? I don't know. Tell him to fucking stop. Like, okay? But anyway, they stop the musical and abduct the child. Which I guess our main villain is going to use as bait for Tank Girl, which he could have just taken Tank Girl as she walks by all of the WAP police.
Yeah,
I
they're
guess.
running in, storming the building, firing guns, and she's like walking past them, going like, "No, you can't take my friend. Let her go." And just Malcolm McDowell's like, "Nah, no, I'm taking her," and then he just leaves, and all the police walk past her, and she goes, "No," in the sand, like she's Furiosa.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So Tank Girl decides that she needs the help from the Rippers to get her friend back. So she goes looking for the Rippers, which are in a secret base between two rocks in the desert. How hard could it be to find?
Which, of course, they immediately find 2 rocks in the desert.
I mean, I do the same thing in Breath of the Wild, too, when you're like, oh, 2 rocks. I know this puzzle. Use your magnetic thing to put one rock on top of the other rock, and then there you go. Pop it out. It works every time. Works every time. But the Rippers capture Tank Girl and Jet Girl immediately, within seconds of them landing in this base, and then throw them in the ball pit, which you think would be plastic balls, but they're bowling balls.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's up with that.
They throw them in a room full of bowling balls, and I mean, like, full of bowling balls. Like you said, it's a ball pit, basically.
but heavy style.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And also, before this, remember, we had thought, like, these Rippers were just shown as they would literally rip people to shreds. And they were big xenomorphs, it looked like. Because apparently that was them in their battle armor. They're actually man-dog kangaroo hybrids.
Well, you have to have battle armor so that when you sell toys, it has armor that can be removed for the toy figure. So, I mean, that has to be the reason. Right, like
I was going to say, there's no way that they'd sell toys of this.
Oh, they would
in our film, but then I remembered RoboCop and Ghostbusters and Terminator
Alien and
Aliens.
Freddy Krueger. There's Freddy Krueger merch all over the place for kids. Yeah,
I will say that they wouldn't have sold toys for this because Tank Girl is too sex positive and also not heteronormative in the way that.
I mean, the fact that it bombed mean they probably would have, but yeah.
Sure, but also, like, no matter what, like, I think that it would have really had problems with that because it's too transgressive in the wrong ways.
I mean, maybe Booger would have had the $5,000 realistic kangaroo penis on it, and then they would have been like, oh, we can't sell that. Yeah, that's...
Or they could sell that, you know.
I think you can custom order one of those on Etsy. Anyway, the point is, the Rippers debate whether they should kill Tank Girl and Jet Girl because they're obviously WAP spies. They keep singing WAP in that ball pit. So they drag them out and get them high off of nitrous oxide, which which is their truth serum. And then Tank Girl and Jet Girl are like, holy shit, this fucking rules. And they keep grabbing the nitrous oxide to get even more high.
They're just passing it back and forth. They're like, yo, stop bogarting the nitrous. They're just having a blast.
Which is a really good bit. I actually really like that.
Yeah. Well, and the other part of the bit that's really good is that 2 of the interrogators every once in a while are like, grabbing it from them and taking a hit themselves. Like, There's scenes like this that make this movie so fucking fun, because I was like, okay, yeah, I'm fully in for this. This is great.
But Ice-T, who is not dressed up in any makeup, shows up and is like, I'm a Ripper now. And I think we should kill them. And the others one, including Booger, is like, no, we should love them. I guess.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
They're hot, but they're hot.
I want to bang them.
Argument.
Yeah, they keep going back and forth of kill bang. And then somebody comes in with the Mary, but he changes it to Crumpets and tea. And this is Bebop.
We are not
Ripper.
joking.
Bebop Ripper.
And Ice-T is like, I am against tea. Fuck tea. Wait, shit.
I'm gonna change my name to Ice Cube. That's already taken. Fuck. Vanilla Ice? No way. So they all vote for Crumpets and tea. They outvote Ice-T, I guess.
Yeah.
So they decide to let Tank Girl and Jet Girl try to get a shipment that they found coming in as proof that they are not evil whappers.
Mm-hmm. You've got it. You're nailing.
That's correct.
Keep going. This is the plot. Yep. Keep going. Don't stop.
So Tank Girl.
The movie doesn't stop.
No, but so Tank Girl and Jet Girl go to the shipment that's happening. And they decide they need to get closer because the Rippers don't believe the photos they've been taking from far away, since there's no branding on any of the boxes that say WAP. So their genius plan...
And they can't see the weapons in them.
Yeah, they can't see the weapons. So their genius plan to get closer, to get more photos, is to dress up like Madonna doing a photo shoot for the WAP men's calendar.
I really liked this joke, actually. I thought this was really good. Also, just a side thing, because, again, it's hard to get the feel of the movie when we're just describing the plot, considering this is so much of a, vibes piece in a way. And Tank Girl's personality, when they're like, hey, I don't know, I don't trust them, we can't see enough of the shipment to get this. She's like, yeah, we'll take a photo of this, and pulls down her pants and shoves down her pants and sends them that as a photo. And it's like, okay, sure.
Tank Girl just does things. They don't really make sense.
No. She's a very... Again, she's very manic. This movie... gets almost a little grating because of how much energy it has. You have to really be involved in it. It asks a lot.
Yeah, but after she takes a lot of sexy shirtless photos of the men of WAP...
Yeah, she convinces them that they're in a calendar, yeah.
Two comic sections of the men of WAP on the calendar, which is very funny, because that implies that they actually made the calendar afterwards, which I could see Tank Girl doing. So,
well, and I think that it also implies, I feel like those are actual comic sections.
It must
right?
be, yeah. So maybe this happened.
Like it's actually from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this is good. I like that they're actually taking it from the comic. That's great.
Yeah, but they end up stealing the truck that has the shipment on it after scaring the workers away, I guess, with guns, I think.
Yeah.
And
I want to say that one thing too, Jet Girl gets a little bit of personalization here because Tank Girl tries to be like, okay, well, we're done, because the guys are like, well, what if it's still a setup? They need to hijack it. Ice-T keeps on adding new stipulations for them.
He keeps
to prove
moving
themselves.
the goalpost, yeah.
So she's like, fine, fuck, we'll hijack it. All right, we're leaving. There's no longer any magic in this photo shoot. We're getting out of here. And Jet Girl's like, no. Give me a minute.
No, give me a minute.
No,
this is a good shot. Hold on, this is good.
Yeah, she's really, really into this one guy flexing in front of her. She's like, oh, but come on.
I think that was the guy that said, can I be December? Oh, you could be anything you want, honey. Ooh. Ooh. So they end up stealing the truck by using her giant shaft of her tank to scare the driver out of it. And it's about to go over a cliff because it's going too fast, and of course there's a cliff, and we need tension in this movie, I guess.
Yeah.
And she can't stop the truck, but then Booger shows up and saves her, and now they're all friends. I guess.
Yep.
I guess.
I suppose so.
So they go back to their hideout to have a nice vegetarian dinner and to pray to their prophet by dancing and doing slam poetry to saxophone,
yeah.
jazz.
This is not a joke. Also, to do grinding dance moves.
Yeah, they grind dance, and then they have a big drug orgy, at least implied, because Tank Girl wakes up with Booger, which was supposed to be the sex scene, I assume.
Which was supposed to have, that was the one where there was supposed to be the giant prosthetic dog kangaroo dick.
God damn it.
This movie's brilliant.
So the next day, they start opening up the boxes of stuff that they stole. And it's mostly empty and full of dirt, except for one which has their prophet in it who left the safety of their compound and is now very much dead inside that box. Because WAP did this whole thing as a way to taunt the Rippers.
Mm-hmm. They want to entice them into a trap and make them attack, because the Rippers are fighting a guerrilla war, essentially. Like, every time they go out in the desert, they ambush them. If they can get them out of the desert, then maybe they can...
Yeah, they're essentially night warriors. They hunt in the dark, and they don't want to be seen, they don't want to be found, and that's it, So, so of course they decide to go and attack, because Tank Girl has a plan, and Ice-T's like, whoa, hold on. Tank Girl's plans are fucking stupid. They literally never work, and it's just random bullshit. Why would we ever go for this? Raise your hand if you're going to go for this stupid, idiotic, literally worst plan I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets immediately outvoted by everybody. He was like, yeah, I want to go die.
Every single person raises two hands in the air and their tails, and they're like, no. And they just walk past Ice-T.
No, I want to go with Tank Girl's stupid plan, though. Get us all killed.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But Ice-T does get a compromise out of it. And that's that as Tank Girl does her stupid plan and drives her tank... I don't know how to describe ghost riding the whip, but if the whip is a parachute, that she's parasailing behind the tank, because the tank is a character with a brain. Did we mention the tank is a brain, I guess, maybe? I think that's implied.
It's a sentient tank, at least. Yeah.
It's a sentient tank somehow. And so, while she's doing that and paragliding behind her tank and then eventually jumping off the paraglider to fight guys as the tank fights on the ground, she does it to Ice-T's big gun. So he gets her to do it to his song. So
and I missed that.
It's a give and take thing.
I had to leave the room. I missed that.
You did miss that.
Damn it. But they break into the compound, and then Bebop Kangaroo decides to run out into the middle of the compound where all the gunfire is, because it's too bright, and they need to take out the generator so it can be dark, because they only fight in the dark, not the light.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, they're out. I think that the implications they're saying, like, they're hugely outnumbered. There's like 163 of them, and there's
164 actually, as Tank Girl comes in.
They do. Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, there's too many.
I think that it's just that they're trying to do. Yeah, they need to do their like guerrilla tactics, and they can't really like hide while everything's lit up and everything.
So he runs out into the middle of the gunfire, goes up to the generator and takes it out, and then gets immediately blasted from every direction.
As you would, yes.
Yeah. And the rest of the Rippers run up. They're like, "No, you're dying. Are you okay?" And he's like, as smooth jazz plays, "I'll see you cats at the big jam in the sky, man." And it's the funniest scene in the movie. It's so good.
We both laughed our asses off at this. I'm like, I don't think... Is this the tone that they're going for this character's death? I don't know. I don't know.
It was so funny. Slam poet jazz ripper is my favorite. Oh man.
Yeah.
But so
anyway,
Tank Girl runs through the compound looking for her friend, and she hears her crying, "Help me, help me." So she runs towards the voice, which turns out is not her. It's our villain, who can now
Yes.
mimic her voice for some reason.
I think that he's piping her voice in from, the pipe.
From the pipe? He's piping. Oh!
Yeah.
I get it. Wow, that was a good one. That was a good one. Wow. And I guess he could have put a microphone in there. He seems pretty intent on putting a microphone on everyone, as we find out.
Yes. Yeah, because he's pouring water slowly into the pipe to drown her.
Yeah.
And that's the danger here.
He taunts Tank Girl, who shoots at him. And this fight scene is terrible. It's so bad. Because...
Sure, you're skipping one very important thing, though.
Mhm.
This is the face reveal.
Oh, eventually, yes. Yeah, it is.
No, it already did reveal the face, right? Right here.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it
they
comes
show
out.
his face. He
Yeah.
comes out and he looks
Yes.
exactly the same. Like nothing has ever
He's Malcolm
happened.
McDowell. It's just Malcolm McDowell.
Which is actually a really good joke, I think.
What the fuck? Yeah, no, it's kind of amazing at first. You're like, well, but what? Like, he's got a weird arm with
Drills.
razors on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and drill hands.
It's super weird.
But his face, his head that they chopped off is his head.
it's just normal.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a guy.
The reason I say this fight scene is bad is because Malcolm McDowell does not
Yeah.
do choreography of fights at
No.
all. So they tried to work around that by just having Tank Girl stand there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really no energy at all in this whole thing.
Yeah, this looks bad.
But she shoots at him and he blocks everything with his metal arm. And her gun jams. She's like, you fucking piece of shit, and throws it down a hole. Or off the edge of whatever, I guess, walkway they're on.
They're on a walk, yeah.
Yeah,
some
and
kind of metal walk.
and then he walks up and holds her in his metal arm, and he's about to, like, take her out. So he starts, like, knocking off the metal, I guess, ropes or lines that are holding up the walkway.
Pieces of the walkway, yeah.
I guess. And she ends up George of the Jungling one of the ropes and swinging out and then swinging back in, kicking him off because he's not very agile.
No, he's Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
Dude is old. Like,
And
even in this day,
so
he's old.
his metal arm gets stuck in a gear that's on the ground, I guess. And she starts taunting him. So
Yeah.
I think, like, the tank shows up at some point through the wall or something.
That's a ways later in this fight. Yeah, at first, this is kind of the big reveal right here, because she starts hitting him and stuff, and then when
Yeah.
she goes for his head does something weird,
It does, yeah.
which is not exist. That's the weird thing it does. Remember how we said he chopped his head off? He forgot to put the head back on. And I know we said that he's just a normal guy, but he's actually a hologram.
Yeah, so it's a
now.
hologram head, but how is the body being controlled? Where's the brain? There's no head. How?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
When they
Yeah,
chop the
yeah.
head off, I'm imagining like a head in a jar, like Futurama, not...
So, no, they chop his head off and then body control.
Yeah, the body controls it.
There you go.
I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who gives a shit?
This movie doesn't give a fuck about what you think about
No.
that. It doesn't care in the
But-
slightest.
But she can't take him out, and then the tank shows up. And the tank's like, I can't shoot him. I'm sorry, tank girl. And she's like, what, you run out of ammo? Yes, I did, actually. I ran
It's
out of
nodding
ammo.
its head and shaking no and stuff with the big fucking, like, gun
Yep.
turret. Yeah,
So then,
its turret.
So then she goes in the tank as Malcolm McDowell's stuck in the gear. And she's like, fine, I'll take him out myself. And she opens up a case of Foster's beer, like the giant beer cans. And starts putting them in one by one into her tank, like, cannon to shoot at him. But Malcolm McDowell gets out, and he starts blocking every beer can with his metal arm.
Yeah, because they're just beer cans.
It's just beer cans.
They're just beer cans. They're not going to hurt him. And he's like, I'm a hologram. You can't hurt me. I'm a weird hologram guy.
Yep. So then Tank Girl's like, wait, I have an idea. And she raises the cannon of the tank slightly higher, which would go over Malcolm McDowell and miss him entirely. And then she shoots her last beer one for the road. And
Yes.
and it hits a Deus Ex Machina bucket of water above him.
Yep. Yep.
Because his only weakness, ironically, is water, now that he's cybernetic.
His whole thing, he collects all the water, now he can't have it.
Yeah, wow. Actually, this raises more questions
It's
about
like
how
a
he...
theme.
How does he eat and drink with it? Anyway, point is, so... he gets wet on the WAP, and...
Uh-huh. The WAP makes him wet.
Yeah.
It got it. The bucket from the WAP
the bucket and a
pours
mop
over
from
him.
the WAP pours on him, yes.
pours all over him, and he immediately expires on the spot. And I yell, he's like just before when it aims at the bucket, I go, oh no, he's melting. And then 5 seconds later, it cuts to a comic panel of her over him in like a Dorothy outfit.
Oh no,
and
he's
he's
melting.
yelling, I'm melting. Like, God damn it. God damn it. Alright, yeah, it's just the most obvious shit every time.
It is.
This movie is...
So then,
Yeah.
then Tank Girl comes up and taunts him, and he's like, "It's not over," but in like that Zoomer meme, like wiggly voice thing.
Yes.
And she takes one of the water extractors and pushes it into his chest and sucks all the water out of what was left of his body, killing him.
Yeah.
Cool. And then
Because he can't... See, the thing is that he can't drink water. He can't have any. Also, he's still mostly water, so he has to have a lot of water.
Yeah, I
Does
don't
he
know.
get an IV?
I don't know how
I
this
just,
works.
like, what does
Yeah,
he do?
it doesn't. It's not
What does he
important.
do?
It's not important.
Anyway.
but the fact that they specifically went with a hologram head is so fucking weird. Anyways,
There's so much. Yeah, it's... Yeah.
So some WAP security show up and are about to shoot Tank Girl to death, and then Booger comes up behind them and he's like, "Don't worry, Tank Girl. I had them remove their bullets from their guns, so they're no longer a threat, and they can't hurt you with knives or punching or kicking or any other weapons, or even just hitting you with the guns we left them with." Or
Yeah, I guess that he's their new commander.
And-
He's in a... Like, he puts on a little soldier
Yeah.
hat.
and now,
on the commander
now
hat.
he is the commander of the WAP.
Look at me, now I own the WAP.
To which Tank Girl responds with an open mouth kiss on this Dog-aroo. Because they're a couple now. And also...
Hey, is there a little girl drowning?
Oh, she saved the little girl or whatever. Yeah, I guess.
Well, she runs out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that right after that, she's like, "Wait a minute."
She's like, "Oh fuck,
She's
right?
going
Ah,
straight.
shit."
Oh damn.
And also Jet Girl is there, who is still her girlfriend. And they just have a big old nice poly family, I guess. I don't know. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then there's an animated sequence of them water skiing off the tank with rocket engines across a landscape.
What I'm confused is, why didn't the movie end with them giving water to the people, right? Like in a Mad Max style. Why did it end with her water skiing with the kangaroo rippers?
Well, I have actually an answer for that. When we talked about how there was all the studio meddling, supposedly. I mean, this is from the director saying it, so I mean, who knows exactly? But that's her story about a lot of this. And there was a different ending, actually. Originally, the ending was supposed to be that the rain would start, and she would be
that would make
outside
sense.
That would make more sense. Yes, that she wouldn't have to go out and give water to everybody in a way, and they didn't have to show that. Instead, it was supposed to be that there was, like, gonna be water falling at the end, and it would end with her, I guess, drinking some and then burping at the camera, because...
Because Tank Girl? Sure.
That's, yeah, Tank Girl. She's kind of nasty. That's... kind of nasty.
Yeah. That ending's way better. What the fuck?
Yeah. So there's things like that where I'm like, okay, obviously that would be better, but if the other side of it, like, oh, we wouldn't have really had any animated sequences because we'd have just filmed them, That's worse. So who knows where this film would have ended up.
Yeah.
Interesting mind puzzle.
What a weird movie. I think this is one of those movies that definitely was a huge bomb when it came out and then gained a cult following over the years. Kind of like Pet Sematary 2 when we watched that. That was a huge bomb. And then big following later on.
I love Pet Sematary 2. I think Pet Sematary 2 is a blast. Yeah, this one's a lot more uneven. It's got some really, really great moments in it, and its energy is something, but
it's hard to describe. There's just so much coming at you at all moments, and it's like, man, this is a lot. But I actually really love the animated sequences. I love all the references to the comics. You can tell...
Yeah, I love that.
They had a vision in mind, and I don't necessarily like the vision they came up with.
Sure.
But
yeah, exactly.
I respect the hell out of this.
Exactly, yeah. It's one of those movies where you're like, how the fuck did this get made? This is somebody's very weird, very narrow, specific vision of a thing that they wanted to do, and it's not for wide audiences. And in our day and age where every major movie is now just like Marvel spread across the thinnest possible toast,
or reboot
so that it can appeal to every person,
or a reboot of a safe franchise. Yeah.
And like I said, it's all spread so fucking thin to make it appeal as much as possible to as many people as possible.
And then this movie's just in your face, like,
really
hey,
refreshing.
You either fucking like this or you don't, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And, like,
this is a movie that's hard to have a middle ground opinion on, I think.
Yeah. But that's Tank Girl. Let's rate the dog. So there's Booger, who is a literal dog. Which is...
Dog-aroo.
Which is weird in a lot of ways. But...
Why? Just because Tank Girl fucks it? I mean...
Yes! That's the main one, actually. That's the main one,
weird.
actually. But
I mean, why couldn't they have shown the dog dick? It's not a human dick. That seems like they'd have been able to do that then. What's the problem?
No. But I think Booger's a very sweet boy. A little dumb, but in a charming way.
Yeah.
And very, very happy dog that loves pets. And
loves humping on the dance floor.
And is very loyal. I would give Booger a nice solid 12 out of 10. That is a good dog right there.
Booger is a good boy. I definitely give him a dog dick.
No. No, they cut it from the film. No.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. You're right. I'll give him a 12 out of 10. The size of his dick that was supposed to be in the film.
Okay. The other dog I can think of is the Tank. Which is a dog. Yeah. That is a dog.
That's a dog.
That dog follows commands. It saves Tank Girl all the time. It loves going fast.
A big boy. Look at the sheer size of it.
Yeah, that tank has zoomies all the time. That's a good dog. That tank is at least an 11 out of 10 tank. And we will not be giving Ice-T a rating because Ice-T was not a dog in this movie. They didn't even put makeup on him. So I didn't really get it. Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
No. But that's Tank Girl. that's the movie, I guess. I don't know what else to say about Tank Girl. Like, I think you just kind of have to experience it, but also I don't know if I would recommend it. So
I would not recommend this movie unless you know what you're getting into. Like, this is one of those ones where that's why I didn't really spoiler this either or anything, because I'm like, well, I might recommend this to some of our audience. I think a lot of our audience would probably like this, our audience specifically. But if you listen to some of this, like, you won't really understand this movie until you see this movie. So we can't really spoil it for you. It's really more of a visual thing.
Yes.
And on top of that, you need to know what this movie is to know if you'll like it or not. And if you hear some of this and you're like, wow, that sounds fucking rad, then it'll be like, okay, then you need to watch this. And you're like, God, this sounds like fucking dumb garbage. Then don't watch this because it is dumb garbage.
It's extremely dumb trash. Yeah.
It's exactly the dumb trash that you think it is in the ways that it sounds like. Like, there is no subtlety really in this movie at all. There's very little cleverness. There's very little subtlety. it just goes hard for what it's going for, and you either like that or you don't, and it doesn't really give a shit. It's kind of the most punk thing possible. Like, for a movie that... It's weird, because it's got, like, all the... Like, they pog up the tank, like I said, where it looks like it's covered in, like, pog slammers and stuff from the 90s, and it's got, like, lawn chairs on it. They apparently put the back of an El Dorado on it.
That
like,
makes
you know,
sense,
like the
yeah.
long... Yeah. And, like, stuff like that. Like, it's just weird.
There's a lazy
shit like
boy.
that. It looks...
She's grilling hot dogs on it. Like,
Yeah,
there's weird
and it's
shit.
all-
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all done in this very, like... It looks like the tank of somebody who has a denim jacket all covered in studs and patches.
And patches,
right? Like, that's,
yeah.
Yes, like that's the aesthetic of this thing. And it could come off as very cheesy and not punk because of that, because it's like, oh, well, like, this is such a stereotype of what punk is. But it ends up being really, really punk because, again, the attitude of the movie itself is punk, because it does not give a fuck if you like it or not. It doesn't care in the slightest. This movie just goes for what it is, and it's like, hey, you either like me or you don't. And speaking of weird movies that are experiences featuring Ice-T, I need to make you watch Johnny Mnemonic. we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Good Boy Johnny Mnemonic, so maybe
there was one line in this movie I forgot to mention, and it's when Tank Girl is talking about something to Jet Girl to try and get her to leave, and she's like, hey, we should leave this horrible slave work camp because then we can go watch Cats on Broadway. And I cannot imagine how bad Cats 2033 is if Cats 2019 was as bad as it was. So yeah.
Tank Girl universe is where what happens when they left the butthole cut.
It had to be the butthole cut universe.
That's the divergence.
Yes.
That's the divergence point. That's it. And I can't think of anything else to end this podcast on, so we're done. You can check out our social media. We're on Twitter, Rough Cuts Cast. Thanks everybody on the Patreon. You can get the podcast a little bit early if you help support us there. This obviously costs us money. Boix has to set up all his VCR shit and buy all these tapes and different things like that. So we really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be taking a break from next week. I'm going on a little vacation, taking a trip. And then we'll be back with some more Rough Cuts.
You know, scholars in 2033 are going to be researching the butthole cut for years to come.
I'm not a bad dog, but I'm a terrible man.